Hi, I'm Jordan with Jordan Plays Blue, and this is my February 2022 roundup. I'm a little late with this one because I had some stuff down here that I was working on, and I wanted to have things situated before I filmed this. But this is February was last month, and the best thing that happened last month, of course, was the Dice Tower Cruise, which I had a lot of fun on. It was a 7-day cruise this year. We stopped at 2 ports in Mexico and 1 off the coast of Honduras. We did some fun cruise stuff, but most importantly, we played a ton of board games, which I'm not actually going to talk about today because I don't have any of those to show you. But some of the, probably my favorite games that I played on the cruise, just for, you know, if anybody's curious, were Cascadia, which I finally got to play. I played it multiple times on the cruise. That shows how much I enjoyed it. I learned it, and then I taught it to some other people, and it was just fantastic. It is a tile laying game in which you're trying to get these land masses next to each other, but then also place these animal discs on them, and the animals are going to score in different ways each game. Super cool. I also incidentally recently played Calico, which Cascadia is often compared to, and I think they are different games. Like some of the scoring and the hexagons are similar, but they feel different. One is more brain burner. Like Calico kind of burns your brain a little bit more, while Cascadia is a bit more open. It almost feels like there's sometimes like too many options, where Cascadia feels like it's restricting the options as the game goes on. So they feel different, even if maybe some of the core is very similar. But I really enjoyed Cascadia. I wish I would have played it earlier, and I definitely ordered it with the Verdant Kickstarter, so I'll be getting it, I don't know, next year or something like that. We'll see. But super excited about Cascadia and getting a copy of that for myself. And then the other game on the cruise that was also really fantastic was Scout, and I'll probably talk about Scout in a later video. But Scout is a card shedding, ladder climbing type game, which you're trying to get rid of all of your cards by playing sets or runs of cards on the table that are higher than the previous set or run on the table. But you're also removing cards from previous sets that were on the table to put in your hand, and you can't move the cards in your hand almost Bonanza style. So it has a couple different twists that just make the game really cool. We played with one of the Korean, I think it's a Korean copy that were on the cruise. I immediately ordered it once I got back, and I have a copy from Oink Games that has a different look, but also super good. So Scout and Cascadia were 2 of my favorite games from the cruise, and I really enjoyed them. But let's get into the roundup. So let's start with a first impression. So US Telegraph is a game that I've probably had on my shelf to play for a year or so now. This is from Super Meeple. This is an older game. This is a reimplementation of Attica, which is an old Euro game. It's by the same designer as Tuluva, which is on my shelf, and I love Tuluva. Is one of our favorite games at my house. We absolutely love it. But this is a different type of game. This one is almost a route connection type game where you're trying to connect some cities on the board with these telegraph lines. I'm not sure how I feel about it. We played it with 3 players, and the aim of the game is to get out as many of these buildings as you can out onto the board, but also connect these 2 cities. And connecting the 2 cities felt way difficult compared to the other ones, which we kind of thought that was going to be how you did it, but you could block very easily. So it felt very interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about it, though, in the grand scheme of things. I definitely want to try it again. It plays 2 to 4, so I'm interested to see how it plays head-to-head. I think that might be an interesting challenge, but then also maybe with 4 players, it opens it up a little bit. So the blocking isn't quite as pronounced. So I don't know. I want to try it out some more. I really like the look of it. I love the theme, kind of that Western expansion kind of theme is kind of cool. And it's a game that I've wanted to play. I really like the designer and just kind of how the game looks and comes together. So I'm rooting for it. I want the game to be really good, and I'm hoping in more plays I'll enjoy it. But first impressions were fine. Hope that's better. A game that I really did enjoy from February was Savannah Park. This is from Capstone Games. This is in their family line. And this is a bingo style game, which is very, and after I played it, it doesn't look like it, but it has a feel. I keep talking about how games feel right now, and it feels very similar to Tiny Towns, where you have a bingo type mechanic. One person calls something out, everybody does it. And in this one, you have these different savanna African animals that are across a hex board, and everybody calls one specific tile, and then you pick it up, move it to somewhere else on your board, and flip it over to change its color. Then you know that you played it. And you're just trying to get these sets of animals in different places near these watering holes. And it's just a really thinky spatial puzzle. It says it's 8+. I did play it with May, who is 10. And I think it is possible to play. But I don't know if it is a game where adults and kids can play at the same level, because there's really no luck to the game. It is all kind of perfect information, and I think adults just generally will be able to strategize better than kids. And so I think some of that, and I think maybe with more plays she would enjoy it. I think she just got really frustrated with the first one. I wasn't necessarily going, I was going kind of easy on her, and I still outscored her by a lot, because the scoring is multipliers, and so depending on the number of watering holes in these sets, you multiply your score, and so the points really ramp up, and if you don't get enough of those multipliers, your score does not ramp up, and you're stuck down at the bottom, and so that was frustrating. But I think ultimately Savannah Park is a cool game. Works with kind of adult groups, even though it also kind of has a child-ish kind of look and theme to it too, and it says it's a family game. Maybe when the kids are a little older, but it says 8+ on the box. That's why I'm saying this. Probably older kids into like preteens, teens, I think wouldn't have a problem with it, but depending on the level of strategy they're at, they might have some difficulty. But yeah, Savannah Park, check it out. I really enjoy this one. The other game in this series is Juicy Fruits. I probably like Juicy Fruits better, but I think Savannah Park is pretty solid and approved by me. Okay, and so not all the games I played this month were great. One game that I have seen getting some really positive feedback on, and I think I might just be an outlier on, so maybe check out some of those positive reviews, but Abstract Academy is a 2-player game from Crafty Games. This is a game from the same team that did from Flat Out Games, that did Calico, they didn't design Cascadia, that was different, but Calico, Point Salad, Truffle Shuffle 10, that same design group. And so I was really excited because I love almost every game that they've put out. And this is a 2-player head-to-head tile laying game in which the tiles are cards, and you're going back and forth with these different cards that have red, yellow, and blue and different shapes on them, and you're trying to create this kind of abstract painting. But as you're playing them out, you can only place on certain parts of this kind of imaginary grid, and you can't play on the row that's closest to your opponent, and your opponent can't play on the row closest to you. But that is kind of emerging as you're playing the game, because the game just starts with a single card. So by the end of the game, you don't know if that's going to be the one that's in the row closest to you, or the row that's furthest, or somewhere in the middle. So that part is super interesting. I think the couple things that really pulled this game back for us is that the scoring objectives are often largest groups of blue, lowest groups of blue colors, or sizes of different shapes, or get the symbol, the squares in certain positions, things like that. And it didn't feel, because you're going back and forth, it's your turn, their turn, your turn, their turn, your turn, their turn, just going back and forth, and your opponent is actively trying to stop you because they know those scoring objectives, and you are actively trying to get them, and you're also actively trying to stop them. It's probably a little meaner than I enjoy, but it also didn't feel like there was a ton of control in your ability to achieve the goals as much as I would like to. I think, I don't think I was bad at the game, but I felt like I would have enjoyed it more if I felt more set up for success, if that makes sense. It just felt like a game that some of the shapes you were trying to get were very difficult if you didn't get the right cards, or depending on your opponent, can just play like one card right in the middle of your whole section and just blow the whole thing up, and that can be really frustrating. So I think this game is fine, and I think people are going to enjoy it, and I think people really like these kind of back and forth card games, and I usually really do. It just didn't work for us. Also, it comes in a tuck box, and I think in the year 2022, and not just a tuck box, but a double tuck box. So in this game, you have all your cards. You have to split the card. Like Uno. Have you guys, you played the game Uno? You have to split the cards in half, and then you shove in half the cards, and then you shove in the other half of cards. And I literally, while I was sitting here, dented one of the cards trying to tuck in the lid of the box. In 2020, what year is this? 2022. I thought we were over tuck boxes in kind of hobby games. This is not a game that I bought, that's at Target as far as I'm aware. Maybe it will be, but this is, we're better than this, and I wish, I know it's probably cheaper, but it was really frustrating to get a package that was in kind of a double tuck box where you have to shove some cards in, shove some more cards in, hope you don't dent them as you're putting them in. I think that kind of lowered it also a little bit for me, but then the gameplay just wasn't as compelling as I was hoping it to. So this is a pass for me, but if it does interest you, watch some other reviews because I know other people did enjoy this one. So that's Abstract Academy from the team at Flat Out Games, and it's published by Crafty. And my game of the month is probably no surprise to anybody that follows my stuff typically, and that is Three Sisters. Three Sisters is the new one from Ben Pitchback and Matt Riddle, and they're the same team that did Fleet the Dice game. And this is based off of the same kind of core mechanisms of Fleet the Dice game, where you have it's a roll and write game. You have these double sheets that you're writing on, and depending on where you're crossing off the boxes, they're going to chain and cross off more boxes here, and then you cross off more boxes here, and then you get some bonus actions to do other things. And it is a heavy roll and write game. It is not a Quicks or a Quinto or a rolling through America kind of game. This is like a meaty, almost feels like a medium weight Euro game in the way that you're able to do all of these different things on your turns. It also includes a cool dice drafting rondelle. So you're going to roll all the dice, put them around this rondelle, and depending on what die you draft, that the number on the die is going to show you which plot in your garden that you get to water or plant, and then the space that you're pulling it from is the extra action you get to take. And so it works, that whole process works really well, and then you get to still take all these other actions periodically throughout the game, so you're not just beholden to this one thing on your turn. Super satisfying, doesn't play super long. It can be a little tricky as you're chaining things along to make sure you got everything, because sometimes you're getting like, oh, I got three free actions. Make sure I didn't miss any of those. There's a little note section, so definitely use the note section on the sheets. But fantastic. This one has quickly become my favorite roll and write I've ever played, and I just really love the way that this game does so much in just with these like sheets of paper and some dice, and it feels like a full game. It is not, doesn't feel like it's stripped down from anything, where some roll and writes feel like you're missing something or it could have been better if, that kind of thing. This one feels like it accomplished everything it set out to do, and it's like the perfect weight for me. It is kind of a heavy roll and write, but it's probably medium weight in the grand scheme of games. But I really enjoy this one. It has a really pretty look. It has an awesome kind of theming and the way it all comes together. So this one's from Motor City Gameworks, but also 25th Century Games is putting it in stores now. So check this one out if you like roll and write games, especially if you like kind of meatier ones like Fleet the Dice game, or maybe I haven't played Hadrian's Wall, but I've heard some people talk about the weight of that one. So if you're into that level of roll and write, definitely check out Three Sisters. It's so good. I really, really like this one. And when I do my favorite games of all time, it might be mentioned at some point. I don't know how many games I'll talk about, but it's really good. Really good. So that is my February 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm playing a lot of good games this month as well. I went away for a couple days with some friends in a game group, and we played even more games this month. So I'm super excited to keep talking about games. I played some really good ones and putting up reviews over on Instagram, so check those out too. And I think that's it. All right, guys, I'm Jordan. Thanks.